into with this tool. So thank you, Devanathan sir and JPR College for giving me this wonderful opportunity to spend 1 hour time with all of you, right? So my name is Vaijayanti Srinivasaraghavan. I work with IBM and I've been with IBM for the last 15 plus years in my 26 years of my career. I think that itself gives the volume of, I would say, my experience with IBM and what IBM has in store for me and for all of you, people like you, when you come into the system. So I'm assuming all of you are able to hear me and see me. The format of the discussion is something like this. The session is for 1 hour. And I will try to wrap up the discussion in 45 minutes and then open it up for question and answer for the last 15 minutes. In this particular tool, I understand that I will have to have you unmuted and you will be able to put across your question. There is no option to type or chat. So when you are going to get on to the lecture mode, I will stop the participant to get into the mute on your own. We don't want too many background noise when the Q&A is being asked. With due respect to all the people in this call, right? That's the only request I have. Otherwise, it's absolutely a free-flowing format. You can ask me any questions at the end. And if you have any questions that I'm not able to address in the session, I have given my LinkedIn profile. I will flash it out now for you. So today the session is about Outlive and Outsmart during the uncertain times, right? That's the topic all about. When your institution reached out to me and they said, Madam, could you talk about what is going to happen at this difficult time, how the students need to prepare themselves given that they are in the second and third year of their institution? Is there some kind of tips and tricks and messaging you want to give them so that by the time you come to the final year, you're well prepared and you are well prepared in terms of as an individual and also prepared to get into the industry? I think that was the whole ask of, your faculty and the placement. They said we need to address some of these basic questions for the students given that we have so many uncertainties going around at this point in time. So this is my LinkedIn ID. Please make a note of it so that you can reach out to me after the session. So the discussion is going to be threefold. I'll try to keep it for 5 minutes or 10 minutes so that I don't bore you much. The first thing is going to be all about what is engineering, right? I know you know what is engineering, but there is something beyond that. What is engineering? I'm going to take one case study of an engineering marvel, which not many of us know. And second, I'm going to talk about what is happening around us, not just the students in the industry, and then give you what is that you need to look forward as an engineering discipline of the future, and finally leave you with how you need to outsmart and outlive in the difficult times. I think that's exactly what is the messaging going to be all about. It's the three broad level areas I want to cover because in the 1 hour of session is very dark, too many things. I'm going to the next slide. So what is engineering? So I'm sure you all know it, but this is a typical session that we take for the first year students because when they come into engineering, many times they don't understand that engineering is all about science, society, technology and nature. When all these things blend together, that is what is engineering all about. And we always tell the engineering students, people like you in the colleges, that whenever you say you are doing something on engineering, IT or a computer science, the problem statement that you need to work on is all around these 4 areas, particularly the society, the nature and the science. I always emphasize to the students that you cannot get away with science. Science is one of the basic building block in engineering, You will be using some amount of physics, you will be using some amount of chemistry, and of course, you will be using some amount of mathematics. Mathematics is also going to be one of the core things that you will be coming across in engineering. I know that you're all in third year. I sound like a broken record to you. But what I say is that, don't forget, even when you come to engineering, one thing that you all would be, I would say, asked to again and again refresh is your basic science and engineering. It is not just about coding. It's not about writing only the Python programming or a C++ programming or a Java programming. Absolutely not. It is all, engineering is all about the science, the technology, and the nature and the society. Whatever you do, it has to be all these four that you have to consider, right? Now remember one thing, when we talk about technology, always when you talk about engineering, technology is something different. Why we always get confused between these two words, engineering and technology. Technology is the governing body on top of engineering. Engineering is something that you build, but technology is something that you keep applying. You build a process around it. You have something, a knowledge system around it. So that is what is technology. So engineers, they design, build, and maintain technologies. And technology is all about using and systems and process and so on. So don't get confused between these two words. So you are all engineers, all going to come into the technology world. You are going to apply your engineering. You're also going to maintain this technology. But keep in mind, your science is fundamental, mathematics is fundamental. The society is very important when you design things. You need to think about the nature, and that's what is expected from you when you come into the industry. So that is the context setting of engineering. But when I look back, if I want to tell you a small story, I love telling stories because story is something everybody loves. I came across a very, very interesting article some days back. The article was an engineering marvel. If I'm going to ask you, I know I'm not quite familiar with this tool. So if it was some other tool, I would have asked you to have a dialogue or a chat. But I'm going to make it more of a dialogue within myself because I can't engage in a discussion right now, given that we are in an online mode and 70 plus participants getting into a dialogue will become a chaos. So I'm going to have a dialogue within myself. I wonder, you know what, Vijay, what is this is looking like? Of course, it looks like a bridge. And where is this bridge? If I were to ask you, I really do not know. The answer is very simple. The bridge is in a place called Greece. There is a place called Rion and Antirion Bridge, which is between the two islands. And the people used to travel from Rio to Antirio. It was very, very difficult for them. So Antirion to Rion, it typically takes by a ship or by a ferry almost 40 minutes to 1 hour to reach from one shore to the another. So there was a Greece prime minister who said, why not we build a bridge across these two and make the life easy for the people? And then he put across the proposal to all the people there, anybody ready to take the tender and work on this project. So one of the company came forward and said, we are ready to work. But they hit across a major problem. So what is the problem they came across? They came across 4 major hurdles when they started to build this project. The first hurdle was, it was on the active earthquake fault line. That means if the earthquake is very, very frequent in this area, and the Richter scale it goes is around 7.5 and above. That's point number 1, the problem number 1. The second problem that they had is, it sits on a natural wind tunnel. That means you have a high breeze and its predictability of the wind is very, very, you can't even predict it. It's too much. And if you stand there, it will probably take you away. That's the kind of the wind. And the third problem they had was the surface or the bottom of the sea. It is not solid. If you want to build a structure, you need to have a solid bottom. It doesn't have one. And the fourth is, both the side of the coast keeps moving and drifting apart. Now, given this 4 problems, how did they really even build this bridge? The next question. I was also surprised how they really do that. The next question I started thinking, why not I do little more study on this? Now understand, here we are getting into the engineering. Engineering is not about just IT and computer science. Remember that, students. It's all about how certain things, what we call it domain in engineering. We are talking about civil engineering here. This is a civil engineering concept, but it also uses the concept of your electrical, electronics, and all the concepts that is being used here. So, to tell you students, to address these 4 problems, you will be surprised what did they do. You know what did they do? The first thing what they did was, they studied the root called vetiver. I think you all have used during the summer time when it is very, very hot and you try to put it in a pot and you have it, it cools your system. They realized that if this root is so precious that it is used as one of the engineering marvels. How? Because this root can keep the sand or the bottom of the sea a little lighter and harder. It grows around 70 meters, but it has the capacity to keep the loose soil together. That was the wonder of this particular root. And they used that root for creating the pier. This is called as the pier. I'm going to flip between the previous page and this. What you call these 4 pillars that you see, they are called as the pier. Under the pier, they have a tube where they have put in this root called vetiver, and they have all these roots put it in a pipe, and they made the sand come together so that it doesn't loosen up. It's an engineering marvel. Nobody even thought about it. Today we use this for making incense stick in India, right? The second thing what they did is, the pier is on an earthquake zone. 7.5 Richter scale earthquake, it keeps moving all the time. How do you really keep this pier or the pillars together? So they came up with an idea, what they call as toboggan. Toboggan is a kind of a device that is used for skiing. You must have seen if you know skiing or seen any of the skiing, the kids skiing on the snow, they have something like, it looks like a small wooden, but it is curved at the front. So they came up with this concept, and they used a similar concept for putting the gravel on top of this root, and they leveled the surface. That is the second thing that they did. The third thing that they did to build this particular bridge was what we call as hammock. Hammock is something that we use in the picnic in the beach side, where you put it on each side of the tree, hang up a small thing. Tamil என்ன சொல்வாங்க, but குழந்தை தூங்க விடுவீங்கல்ல, தூணின்னு சொல்வாங்கல்ல, something like that. What happens when you put a kid on something like that? Whatever happens around it, it doesn't matter. The kid is so comfortable sleeping that the 2 hooks hold on, the 2 tree branches holds on. Even if it happens around, it doesn't matter. The tree holds on to this particular rope, and the kids feel very safe. They use the same concept for building this bridge. Where did they use it? The strings that you see here, the lot of strings that you see here, they are used like a hammock. The concept of hammock is used to hold the road that has been put on top of the pier, right? That is the concept of hammock that was used here. And the next concept is called fizzy pop can. You must be using a soda can. If you look at the soda can, there is a small groove. When you lift it, it will open up. The concept is called as a predictable failure. You know that at one point in time, it will break open. The same concept has been used to build this bridge. Do is, if you have a concept of hammock and the bridge starts swinging, it's very, very difficult. So they put something called as a big pipe with oil with a fuse in it. When it's vigorously moving in earthquake, the fuse will blow up. That's called as a predictable failure. When you do a design of even your software, even your hardware, even your civil engineering, any project that you undertake, one of the engineering design principles should be the predictable failure that you should know about. The final thing that they used is called the steel chimney concept. What is a steel chimney? It's nothing but a small tube. In those days, you will have grandma cooking and the chimney will have the fumes coming out. But what happens in industrial steel chimney, you will see a spiral wire. You see a wire around it? They have a spiral wire around it. The reason this concept is used very frequently in engineering and particularly in the structures of bridge, because when you have the constant wind hitting a structure like that, it will have a concept of vortex being developed. That means you will have the pillars move left, right, here and there in all the directions, and there is every likelihood of it breaking. So what happens when you have another spiral thread around it? It will start deflecting these air and create the concept of aerodynamics. That is what today you use in the aeroplanes. You have the concept of aerodynamics. You use in the car. You use in every possible manufacturing element today you have. We use this concept of how do you really cut the vortex and how you use the concept of steel chimney, right? So these are the 5 basic principles that was used in creating this wonderful and beautiful bridge. And I think this is precisely, we see that today we are in. You have so many unknown and unknown. When you start any project, you will come across a situation like how they built the Rion and Antirion bridge of Greece. You will come across a problem, but you should find a way to solve that problem. That is what is expected. Whatever is the solution they came up with was a very simple one. It is not something a rocket science. We use the word called rocket science very frequently. It is not a rocket science. It was a simple concept from the mother nature. It was a simple concept that we have taken from a soda can that we use. It's a simple concept for skiing that was used, and nothing so very costly a solution that they thought of. It was all simple. So one message I want to leave with the students is, whenever you have anything or any problem that you come across, don't make your life complicated. Keep it as simple as possible. The solution to the impossible is always there around you. You just will have to figure out where the solution is. So this was one of the engineering marvels which people thought they can never design and develop and build, but this really happened in Greece. Go ahead and use this case study. Civil engineering students, if you are in this call, this is one of the case study. I'm sure you would have taken it up in your classroom. If you have not, go and study about this engineering marvel. And what is in it for the IT students and what is in it for the computer science students who are listening to this? 2 messaging. One message, the solution to your problem is very much around you. Observe and find a solution. Second thing, always build a predictable failure in your code. That means you should have a way to catch the failures and remediate the failure. That is what is expected. So it's like your concept of a soda can, right? So that's about this engineering marvel. Now there were questions that were asked to me in the last few sessions. What is this technology disruption all about? We are talking about pandemic disruption. So one thing I want to tell the students, whenever you begin the year, every year by January, there are few companies who publishes wonderful papers. One of the companies who does the management company is Gartner, PwC. There are few others that who do that, McKinsey's and so on. Open that paper and read. You search for something called as a technology disruption. They talk about what are the technology trends. What they figured out was 2020 and beyond, these are the technology trends. But you might be asking a question, Vijay, is this still valid? It is valid, but something more is also coming, which I will talk about it in a bit. So what is the technology disruption that they predicted? They said that every company will be going in for something called is bring your own device. That's precisely what has happened today. What has happened? Everybody in IT company, IT services company, all other organizations have gone to what we call as remote working. Now they've been, not all the company can provide the devices. I'm so fortunate to be with IBM. IBM has made it 100% remote. We have laptops from day one. But many organizations today realize that it's better to have the employee bring their own devices and have their own softwares in that, what we call as bring your own enhancement, and have them use it. That's precisely what is happening in India and around the world, right? That prediction has come true. The second thing that is happening around today is people who are with disability, you have to keep them in mind. You cannot ignore them. And why am I saying that? Because today, every software that you design, every engineering concept that you design, you're going to think about talented people in mind, that you have to keep them in mind. So that is the second prediction. But today, we are doing, many software companies already taking care of that. The third thing is, what the prediction that they did, they're going to get into a addictive disorder of online shopping. Absolutely, that is happening. Today, it's not just online shopping disorders. We have been seeing people, they are into the system and laptops for long and long hours. Yes, it is good to be there in front of the system, but you need to have a logical break. Or else what's going to happen? You're going to hamper your health. That's something that World Health Organization has pretty predicted, that you're going to have an addictive disorder. That's what I keep saying. There are 4 companies around the world which has tapped onto the behavior of addictive disorder. One of the companies which is beautifully done is Facebook. I'm sure most of you have the Facebook account, and all of you have, and everything that you do is you post in your pictures. Next thing you see is people liking your pictures, commenting on your pictures, then they sharing it with somebody. So it kind of gives you an instant gratification. Oh my God, I'm being liked by so many people. And then what happens? You get into an addictive behavior of looking at how many likes did I get? How many people really comment on my blog? How many people really looked at my picture? And so on and so forth. This addictive behavior is being capitalized by these companies, what we call as attention engineering. Remember this, when you design a software or a project or any of the solution, one of the concepts that you have to keep in mind is called attention engineering. To keep your end users glued to something that you want them to time and again come to start using your product, or start using your software, or start using what you have developed, right? That is called as attention engineering. So I'm not going to read through everything, but the messaging that I want to leave you with, the 2020 prediction, what the Gartner came up, was primarily around few things: AI, BYOD, bring your own enhancement, disability, focus on disability. You're going to look at the behavior of the people through the facial recognition, right? We have already started doing in the interviewing process, because with all these going remote, we are going to have more and more people taking interviews online. We are going to have cameras looking at you. You need to I'm being looked in by so many people, 100 people looking at me today. I have to have the utmost confidence of facing the camera. I should have the knowledge on the subject to speak in front of the camera. How it's all being predicted, whether I'm confident or not, the AI is going to predict it. That is what the AI is being built around. How the facial recognition and AI and the emotion bit and behaviors are going to be studied of the people, which will be used in the future for selection of the candidate in the organization. So why am I emphasizing on this? Because when you come to the final year, maybe things will be completely different in placement. Going to be sitting somewhere in Chennai and giving an interview for a firm in Gurgaon or Delhi. Absolutely possible. You're going to give through your laptop, and you're going to look at the camera on top. So get prepared for it. That's the next thing. The next prediction is, of course, blockchain, because that's nothing but your ledger concept, and this is used by IBM in a big and a lot of companies in a big way. We're talking about blockchain technology from retail to banking to everything today, right? And please remember one thing: engineering as a discipline, all engineering discipline is going to have all of this. When I say that, this is just not applicable to IT, computer science alone. even your manufacturing industry, your civil engineering, your structural engineering, you take aerospace and aeronautical, all are going to see these kind of advancement and use of technology. And this is going to be more and more prevalent. Let me make it loud and clear. Please get familiarized with some of this. You cannot say no to it. Now, the COVID has happened. That was very unfortunate, right? Now, there are some prediction already. Some people have started making about the COVID, what will happen. There is one gentleman by name Bernard Marr, who's a big data and a SME, and he has written a lot of books. And that gentleman came up with a prediction, what he calls as 9 future prediction post-coronavirus world. Now, if you look at all of these predictions, unknowingly and knowingly, we have already started getting into it early on. And fourth thing that you have started seeing is telemedicine. Already, there are pharmacies, there are doctors who are tied up with the pharmacies, recommending for the ailing patients, the telemedicine, they are getting delivered at home. It is happening in India. The second thing that is happening is more and more people are getting into online mode of shopping because they find that very safe rather than going out. Right? The third thing that is happening today is more and more people have started using robots or your drones for some of these desanitizing processes and so on, right? They're using for delivering materials, and they're using robots in the hospitals. They've started using that. And what we call it is we are going more and more contactless. That is what is going to be your contactless technologies is going to increase in the coming future. So get prepared. When you design for any of these softwares or solutions, keep that in mind. I was looking the other day, a kid had sent, a boy from a college had sent me a WhatsApp message saying that this is one of the ideas that we have come up with. I thought that was really wonderful and nice. What was the idea all about? About using the toothpick idea. So you have to start thinking about how these 9 predictions that have been made, how I can better in it in the coming days. That's what is going to be the first thing that you need to watch out for after this post-COVID situation. Big data and IoT are going to be there. It's not going to get away from you. You're going to have more focus around security. I was talking to a bank manager the other day. A lot of the banking institutions, the nationalized bank in India, are going to focus more on the cyber security, how you need to have a security around the DDoS attacks and other things. So if you are interested in a cyber security as a stream, don't shy away from it. It is one of the areas which is really catching up and not many people are there today. Okay, these are some things that you can learn on your own. Yeah, you can take the certification on your own online. You can enroll on your own in some of the courses and do it, right? So this is a nice different predictions that has been made by Bernard Marr that will be coming up after the post-COVID situation. Now let me go to the next slide. What we as an IT services organization we are seeing is you're going to see that gig economy is one area which is going to pick up very, very fast. It is already existing. I'm not saying it's not existing. With more and more focus on contactless, people going remote, the gig economy is going to catch up. So what is gig economy all about? This is a very fancy term that has been derived by millennials and Gen Zs like you. They say that we don't want any shift. We don't want any boss. We don't want anybody to question us. We don't want any limits. So that is how the birth of gig economy happened. So what is gig economy? When we were working in those days, the only thing that we heard about was contract workers or maybe freelancers. Second thing that we heard about was crowdsourcing, possibly around 7-8 years back. That's when I heard about crowdsourcing. When Wikipedia came in, that's what the crowdsourcing started. But today we are talking about online gig economy. The more and more solutions you're going to see about the online gig economy, where people are going to come up with a digital platform where there will be two players who will be brought in together. The player can be a food delivery person and the consumer of the food. Either the player could be the person who wants to travel and a person who is going to ride you in a taxi, right? That is how it's all going to be. It's all going to be the online gig economy. Airbnb, it's a classic case, another one where you have the person who's going to serve you with a room and the person who's going to then book it, right? There are two people who are brought in. It's simple. And today you have OLX. You have people who are renting the house, the people who are going to be a tenant, right? These are all the online gig economy which has come in over a period of time. So more and more applications, more and more, I would say, the work around the gig economy is going to increase. So start getting in the mindset of working on the one key thing, what I call it as the crowdsourcing platform. That is the beginning of the gig economy. Please enroll for some of the tools like Topcoder, Freelancer.com, HackerRank. These are some tools for IT company guys you have. Similarly, you have Link and other tools that are there for mechanical engineering. There are newer online platforms that they are coming up for design engineering. Try to enroll in that and try to see how you can bid on for some work and try to make the career as a freelancer until the time you find a company which you think can give you a better offer, right? It's going to be good. I'm going to tell you one thing very blatantly. Gone are the days where you're going to look at a placement as going to come and somebody is going to offer in a place. Now you have to define what you want to be. So that means these are the platforms where you want to define yourself and create your digital reputation. People are going to watch you. How are you social? Not into Facebook. They are not going to watch in the Facebook. They are going to watch you how you are in the LinkedIn. What is that you are writing? What is that your HackerRank and HackerEarth position in terms of your work, right? These are the things that they are going to watch you. So you are leaving with them what I call it as digital tattoo, right? Remember, if you are going to get into a gig economy world, learn to start embracing some of it. That's one of the messages I want to leave here in this particular slide. Next thing I want to call out is engineering discipline is completely going to change in the coming days. And I'm sure the faculty, if you're listening, I'm sure you will appreciate that, because recently there was a report that was published by the AICT and National Skill Development, and they said that there are more and more newer engineering streams that they are going to come with. That means what? By the time you complete your bachelor's, you come into the master's, you are going to see newer kind of master's discipline that are going to be there. So let me explain to you in a bit what it means. When we started our education system, and I'm talking about not too far, when I graduated, it was in early 90s. I also graduated from University of Madras at that point in time. And we had just one concept called multidisciplinary. That means you have electrical, probably you will have electrical electronics communication, you will have one civil engineering, you will have mechanical, and that's how it was. But over a period, we saw that there is an overlapping happening between these disciplines. That is when you started the birth of new engineering streams coming up. Then we started seeing engineering stream coming up like computer science with cloud, computer science with retail. Then we saw that there is a branch called mechatronics, because mechanical and engineering and electronics, electrical and electronics concept blended together. Then we saw aerodynamics, aeronautical, right? Earlier, if it would have been only mechanical guy getting into the aerospace industry. But today, the interdisciplinary, more and more the engineering is existing today. But will it be the way going forward? Absolutely not. It's going to change. What is going to change? You're going to get into the era of what I call as a transdisciplinary. That means you're going to have many engineering streams coming together. Get prepared for it. So what does that mean for you as a student or as an engineer? You have to have some knowledge of all the engineering streams. That is what we call in the business language domain. We always tell the students and engineers who come in or a fresh graduate, please acquire a domain knowledge. What does a domain knowledge mean? Acquire a knowledge on manufacturing, acquire a knowledge on financial or a banking system, or maybe in the retail industry. So you are going to see more and more of transdisciplinary kind of an education that is going to come. Now, having said that, what is it AICT and other governing bodies are saying? They are saying that the institution, and you are one of the lucky institutions who already have some of these curriculum in place or credit courses in place. Not everybody is fortunate enough. Now, AI, IoT, mobility and cloud. It is going to be there, and these are going to be the emerging courses that we are going to talk about. And also the core engineering guys will be doing these credit courses at some level. That means even if you're taking a civil engineering, even if you're taking an aerospace engineering, you will be required to do a little bit of Python programming. You will be asked to learn a little bit of data and statistics and data science, a little bit of analytics, because that is today a key decision making for your design principles, because data and your concepts of IoT, all of these are driving the future of engineering. So remember, you as a student, if you have not done any of these credit courses, please enroll for the MOOC courses. It could be Coursera, Udemy, edX, whatever the platform, or even your college will have some defined platform for your MOOC education. Go ahead, enroll and do it. That's my sincere request to you as the next call out here. Now, what myself and my co-author, his name is Subramani Ramakrishnan, we both had written a book called Shape It. We did the interview of around 50 different students across pan-India, and what we found was how have they been successful in the engineering, particularly they were able to outlive and outsmart. Why did I use the word called outlive? Outlive, they are really bindas, cool attitude, they don't take tension, they don't take stress, but at the same time they are smart, they are able to sustain. How are they able to do it? Then we went ahead and interviewed many of them. And one thing that we found was there was one common string that came across all of these 50 students. That is what we are saying as a trait that you all will have. The trait which I call it as Shape It trait. That should be your signature. What is it? You have to be a self-learner. Forget where your teacher is going to come and say, you know what, this is what you need to learn. No. Teacher is not going to teach. Teacher themselves and faculty themselves and ourselves are in the self-learning mode today, because your technology is changing so rapidly that you will have to be a self-learner. The second thing, learning itself is not enough, but you have to apply that. That's what we say, you have to have an hands-on. You learn it, but try to dirty your hands. And that is when you can learn it, right? You have to dirty your hands. How many of you even have gone back home, some of the kids here, and opened the mobile phones and seen what is there inside them? How many of you have even gone back and opened the mixers and the grinders at home and seen what is the coil, what is it, what is the concept that is being used? Have you even tried something on? If not, dirty your hands. That is what you're saying. What you learn, you try to start applying it. The third trait that we saw was antennas up. They were having their, I would say, observations 360 degrees. They always look around what is happening around them. That is very, very important. Technology changes. That means you are supposed to keep looking around what is new that has been launched. If I were to ask you a question, what did Netflix do in the last 2 months? How come their stock prices went high? If I were to ask you that question, a very simple answer. They increased the number of subscribers. They said that we will not do high definition streaming. They knew that the bandwidth will be choked. They came up with an innovative thinking process. And how many of you really read that? If not, start looking out. Why a certain company is doing better? What is that company has brought in today new? And can I use some of those ideas in my current problem statement that I'm working on in the project to teach the college? Start thinking on those lines. Then the fourth thing that we saw with these students was the problem solving. The biggest problem today, what we see is not knowing what a problem is. Understand what the problem is. Don't jump into the solution without understanding the problem. That is what we tell. That is why we keep telling people, understand the problem, ask why. And you are the very good generation because you keep asking one question, why should I do it? Why you cannot do it? Why it cannot be done this way? You should be the better people to understand the problem because you know to ask the question. Right? The final thing is entrepreneurs. We saw something very different in all of these children. What did we see in all these 50 students about which whom we written? The entrepreneurs. The ability to talk with a confidence and a conviction and sell themselves. And I say sell themselves. If I tell you, hey, talk about yourself for a couple of minutes, how many of you can really talk? Talking for 2 minutes is very difficult. You can talk for 1 hour. Able to articulate something in 2 minutes and sell. That is a concept that we use in your marketing. You must have seen a guy coming and selling aquaguard water filters. How many of you have said get away? But the smartest of the guy would be the one who will be able to sell within 2 minutes, making the right eye contact, conveying the right message, understanding the customer the other side and know their weakness and exactly nail the conversation so that he convinces them to buy it, right? That's the entrepreneur spirit that we have seen in these children. They were able to do that. Whatever they built, whatever they were able to solve the problem, they were able to convince and propose a solution and convert that as an opportunity for themselves. And finally, we thought they had something called as internal trust. You should have the will to do it. If you do not have a will to do it, you will not be able to cultivate any of these traits. You should have the will to do it. So the only message I want to leave is always have these 5 traits developed. Be a self-learner. Apply that hands-on. Look around through the antennas up and identify the problem through the problem-solving mentality and be an entrepreneur to be able to articulate and sell yourself of what you want to do, right? These are the 5 traits. Forget about you are in a pandemic, you are in a technology disruption, whatever it is. You can learn technology, but if you don't have these 5, you cannot make a signature trait for yourself. So that's one message I want to convey here in the slide. The summary I want to tell is observe to innovate. That's one thing I want to say. Observe what is happening around you. Gig economy is going to be a new normal. You have to enroll for some of the freelancing, topcoder.com and your HackerRank link, all the different things that's possible. Try to figure out what are the opportunities available online to do some of the work. People are even outsourcing the designing of t-shirts and other things. Get into what you like. Third thing, create your signature trait using the JIT. I think this is what I want to convey, and I will open up for questions. But this is a wonderful poetry by one of the IBMers, and she has written a beautiful poetry, and this is very, very, I would say, apt for you. You will have to take that first step. The first step will always be unknown and unsure, but do not stop. And it is a time for you to start. Take that step. That is when you will be strong, and please start enduring this first step. And that's exactly what these webinars are to ensure that you take that first step towards the unknown. So you can outlive and you can outsmart if you follow some of this, what I said. And I'm not saying it is good. You are going to be 100% perfect, but you will be able to start somewhere and you will be able to make a difference for yourself to some extent. Please start doing that. That is the message I want to leave with. You can reach out to me on my LinkedIn. And thank you once again to the JPR College Management for giving me this opportunity. And all of you stay safe. That's my request. Follow the guidelines given by your state government and the government of India. I'm sure you engineers will definitely find a solution for some of the things that are happening now, and think about it, right? So that is my request to the budding engineers, and all the best to you. Thank you so much.
Many thanks, madam. Many thanks.